John Davidson shocked the BAFTA Awards with racial slurs and abuses.
Now, was he out of line?
Coach him up, Nick. Coach him up, Nick. Coach him up, Nick. Get your mind right.
Hey, welcome back to Coach 'em Up, Nick. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's stirring the news waves with Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan presenting an award at the BAFTAs, and a man named John Davidson who suffers from a very rare form of Tourette syndrome called Coprolalia, and he had an outburst. Now, if you're not familiar with Tourette syndrome, this is an involuntary cognitive disorder where you have tics that could be physical motor, meaning movements, or actual verbalized thoughts, and they're completely uncontrollable. Now, with therapy and different types of interventions, they can be controlled to a degree of recognizing when they come on, such as anxious situations, new scenarios, things that could trigger these tics. But at the end of the day, they cannot stop them. They can kind of maneuver their body, but if it's verbal, they got to try to mask it. But depending on how severe the scenario is, they can be more outrageous. And in this case, a racial slur was used, the N-word. And obviously, this being said is definitely going to offend people. So my argument here is not to say they shouldn't be mad or shouldn't be outraged, but to give understanding to say what was actually happening here. So going back to Coprolalia, which, like I said, only about 10 to 15% of the population actually deals with this type of Tourette's. Now, it can be manifested in curse words, very loud outbursts, and even racial slurs. Now, some of the comments I saw online were saying, oh, he knew better, or why was it that word specifically? And since I just explained, it typically tends to be those type of words. Now, the exact science of why it goes to more curse words or profanities or things like that, I'm not too sure of. And it's a very complex situation because the brain, as we know, is very complex. But basically, we can argue different things about it. Was it right or was it wrong? But I say lend some understanding. Now, ironically, John was there because he's up for an award for a film that documents his life.
John Davidson shocked the BAFTA Awards with racial slurs and abuses. Davidson threw the N-word at Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, who were on stage presenting an award. He later also yelled, "Shut up," to BAFTA chair Sarah Putt, and "F you" at the directors of Boom. The room froze, but he didn't mean to offend. Davidson is a Tourette syndrome activist and the real-life inspiration behind the BAFTA-nominated film I Swear. Tourette syndrome can cause involuntary vocal tics, including sudden shouting, profanity, or offensive language, with no warning and no control. Before the ceremony even began, the audience had been warned this might happen. Host Alan Cumming stepped in and saved the day by clarifying that's how Tourette's shows up for some people.
So I'll stop there. You see, people were warned. So that's probably why Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo didn't get as offended. I'm sure in their head, they might have been like, what the heck? But the crowd was warned. This man was in attendance. He's getting recognized for the work about his life. I Swear, that's the name of the movie. And it just gives more credence to what he deals with. So it's not saying that you're disregarding what was said, because obviously there's ramifications that come with it. But it was forewarned. Now, us, we don't know. And if you didn't look at the full context and learn more about it, you're probably going to be outraged. So this is just an understanding to get more familiar. So in a roundabout way, this gave more light to the very topic he was advocating for. So this biopic was to represent what he went through. And it is very ironic that the very thing that the film was supposed to spread awareness about is shown in real time at the awards. Now, most people didn't see that he also screamed at other people. And once again, it was no malicious intent. This is part of what he has to deal with every single day. So if we try to skew it into a racial thing, that's why I don't think it should go that way. Like I said, you're allowed to think what you want to think, but at the end of the day, this is what happened, and this is what he constantly deals with. So this is not limited to Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan. There are several other people that he had outbursts to as well, who are different races, white, Asian, and so forth. So that being said, if you really want to point blame, my friend Stoney the Great, he has a channel where he does a lot of different reactions to especially movies and current events and things like that. He did a great job breaking this down more so from the commentary aspect of it, not the science, but he definitely gave insight to what was going on. So check out his channel, Stoney the Great, and he gave a good insight of this wasn't live. This was pre-recorded. So now we need to look at it from a different lens of why was it allowed to be let out when editors and people had to clear this, but yet it was still kept in, or not even just at least bleeped out. Who knows? So that being said, there's some other blame that could be shifted to that. But all in all, the whole point of this was to see what really happened and how it was affected to what was going on. Because John, like I said, anyone who suffers Tourette. Now, I know there's a community of Black people who have Tourette's who probably have opinions, so I'm not going to overspeak them because they have way more insight on this topic than me as a mental performance or mental health practitioner. This is something that I can see as that, but they have to live it. So look at videos that give voice to them. So with that being said, this is just another way to educate you, to get you more familiar with what's going on, and to get your mind right.